For centuries, the Great Wall of China, stretching 21,000 kilometers, stood as an impregnable symbol of imperial power. But in 1644, a single open gate was enough to shake an entire empire, and no one could have guessed that behind this betrayal lay a story of great love. This is the tragic tale of General Wu and his beloved Yuanyuan, whose passion forever changed the course of China's history. Let's start at the beginning. In 1644, the mighty Ming Dynasty was on the brink of collapse. Rebellions swept across the country, led by the charismatic rebel leader Li Zicheng, who seized the capital, Beijing, with his army. The last Ming emperor, seeing no way out, took his own life. While chaos engulfed China, the remaining generals of the dynasty continued to hold their positions at the borders. Wu Sangui, a loyal general, was stationed at the strategically vital Shanhaiguan Pass, defending the Great Wall. His mission, to keep the northern invaders, the Manchus, at bay. But while he guarded the border, an event unfolded that would have far-reaching consequences. At the heart of this story is Chen Yuanyuan. Her name translates to perfect moon, and she was considered one of the most beautiful women of her time. As a celebrated courtesan, she captivated the most powerful men of the empire with her charm, grace, and singing. She was also General Wu's beloved, and one of the few constants in his turbulent life. This love was tested like never before when the rebel leader took control of Beijing. Not only did he seize the treasures of the city, but he also captured Chen Yuanyuan. To force General Wu into an alliance, the rebel leader took Yuanyuan hostage. But that wasn't all. He humiliated Wu by forcing her into his harem. When Wu learned of her fate, he was consumed by rage and despair. Wu faced an impossible choice: to submit or to risk everything to save the woman he loved. The only ones who could help him were the Manchus, China's external enemies. Torn between loyalty to his country and his love for Yuanyuan, Wu made an unprecedented decision. He opened the mighty gates of Shanhaiguan and allowed the Manchu forces to enter. The night the gate was opened was tense. Some of Wu's men protested when they saw the Manchu troops arriving. Disputes and even minor skirmishes broke out within the ranks. But Wu maintained control over the situation, assuring his men that the Manchus were only temporary allies to defeat the rebels. In reality, he had promised the Manchus dominion over China in exchange for their help. The combined forces of General Wu and the Manchus soon confronted the rebel leader's army. In the imperial palace, the first showdown occurred, culminating in an intensely emotional moment. According to legend, General Wu stormed the palace with a small unit in the chaos of the burning city. His goal was to rescue Yuanyuan. The corridors were dark, the air thick with smoke and the deafening noise of battle. Yet Wu fought his way through, his blade cutting down enemy after enemy. Finally, he reached the chambers where Yuanyuan was imprisoned. He found her, worn down by her ordeal but alive. Tears filled her eyes, and for a brief moment the world seemed to stand still around them. Wu carried his weakened beloved out of the palace. The rebels were driven out of the capital, although the rebel leader initially escaped. His fate, however, was sealed. Accounts differ, but he was either killed by villagers or took his own life. Yet the rebels were not completely defeated, and many battles still lay ahead. Throughout these campaigns, Yuanyuan remained at Wu's side, providing him with strength and hope. Ultimately, the rebel forces were crushed across the land, but the cost was immense. The Manchus took control of China and established the Qing Dynasty, which ruled the country for nearly 300 years. The Ming Dynasty, to which Wu had once sworn loyalty, was no more. For his services, the Qing emperors rewarded Wu generously. He was made a prince and granted control over southwestern China, a region of strategic and economic importance. Wu and Yuanyuan lived there for many years in harmony, yet their happiness was overshadowed by guilt. To many, Wu's name became synonymous with betrayal. In the eyes of most Chinese, he had sold the country to foreign invaders, all for the love of a woman. Yuanyuan understood Wu's burden. It is said that she comforted him as he struggled with the consequences of his betrayal, reassuring him that their love was more important than politics. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Decades later, Wu rose up against the Qing rulers. The Qing had begun to curtail the power of their governors, a threat Wu could not accept. He declared himself emperor and proclaimed the Zhou dynasty. What followed was one of the largest rebellions in Chinese history, the revolt of the three feudatories. For years the conflict raged, but the Qing's superior forces and internal divisions within Wu's own army forced him into retreat. Weakened and on the run, Wu died in 1678 under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was illness, others suspect betrayal. After his death, the rebellion collapsed. Yuanyuan's fate was equally tragic. According to conflicting accounts, she either took her own life after Wu's betrayal of the Qing or withdrew to a monastery, where she spent the rest of her life in solitude and silence. General Wu, once the man who saved China from chaos, left behind a divided legacy. Was he a traitor or a patriot, a hero or an opportunist? One thing is certain, his decision to let the Manchus into China changed the nation forever. One dynasty fell, another rose, and at the center of it all stood a man driven by his love for a woman.